Good morning, everybody. We are going to get this meeting started. I would like to call to order the July 2nd, 2025 Technical Advisory Committee meeting. Staff, can you please call the roll so we can establish a quorum?
At this time, I'm only asking those TAC members attending in person to respond by saying here when I call your name. Alternates, please also state your name if you are attending on behalf of a TAC representative. As a reminder, please press your microphone button once to turn on and off. Jim Bell,
Here.
Naresh Machavarapu,
Here.
Andrew Mack, Jason Kaufman,
Here.
Denise Malone, Jamie Brown,
Here.
Terrence Bailey, Alex Hansen,
Here.
Kenny Wilson, Andrew Gamboa Villamil, Brian Davis,
Present.
Christopher Walker,
Here.
Aaron Hoffman,
Here.
Joyce Kai,
Here.
Lorraine Cargill, here. Chang Jen Lan, Zaytek Marin is excused. Kim Delaney, Felipe Lafaso,
Kim Glass Castro for Felipe Lapasso.
Christopher Marsh,
Here.
Jonathan Rainsvold, Natalie Crowley,
Here.
Mo Alturk,
Here.
Jessica Keller. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, we are moving on to item 1B, modifications to the agenda. I do understand there has been a change to the agenda. Item 3B is being removed due to DOT staff not being able to be at this meeting. Are there any other modifications to the agenda, staff?
No, Madam Chair, that's all.
All right, do I need a motion to remove this or?
Yes, please.
Okay, may I please have a motion to remove item 3E from the current agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Alex, all in favor? All opposed? All right, motion carries. So next on the agenda is item 1C. We have the minutes from the June 4th, 2025 meeting. Are there any changes to these minutes? If not, may I please have a motion to adopt the minutes as presented?
So moved.
All right, motion again by Brian, second.
Second.
Second by Jim, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 1D, general public comments on the agenda. Instructions on how to provide public comments are included on the agenda. Staff, have any general comments been submitted by the public?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to 1E, comments from the chair and member comments. I don't have any comments this morning. Does anybody have any comments that they wish to make at this point in time? Okay, seeing none, we're moving on. We have the TAC liaison report, item 1F. At this time, I'd like to invite Andrew to provide an update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I get started on this one, just for more information on that item 3B, that was going to be the I-95 managed lanes PD&E studies that are going on by FDOT. They're still going to come to you all. It's going to be in September. So they'll be going to the TAC and then the governing board in September. There's been some recent legislation with HOV lanes that has changed policies related to those. So they're sort of reassessing a little bit with this PD&E study, and I'll have more updates on that. They had public meetings scheduled for both of these PD&Es. Those are also being rescheduled. So going into the liaison report, it's a large one in front of you today. I'm just going to go quickly through some major highlights. The first is the annual report. Is it now available? This has a summary of what we've accomplished in the past year, also includes events and then products that have been underway or constructed. It's also available in front of you. You're welcome to take that with you as you leave today. It's going to be available online as well on the website. Other exciting news, the Southeast Florida Transportation Council recently adopted the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan. It's a great document on the website. It has an interactive website as well, and you can see it there. So how this really plays out is that all the MPOs in Southeast Florida, so Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach, we all completed our LRTP. At the exact same time, we're working towards our regional transportation plan. And so this is a culmination of all those efforts, and it's more of a regional vision that comes together with our projects, and it's more of a policy-oriented document. So if you want to read that, it's at 2050rtp.com. And then congratulations for two communities. The first is Boca Raton for Complete Streets Policies, ranked number 5 in Smart Growth America's 2025 Best Complete Streets Policies. And then for Livable Communities designations, Village of Wellington being the first local municipality in the county to join AARP's age-friendly network. We have a crash dashboard that's up on the website. This takes Signal 4 data and it's honed into Palm Beach County and cities. So if you'd like to see a new dashboard, it's at palmbeachtpa.org/crash dashboard. We also hosted some Vision Zero Action Plan workshops and a transit-oriented community workshop recently. Those are both online if you would like to see those presentations. And then upcoming, we do have additional training opportunities and other presentations. We have a Women in Transportation panel on July 29th. And we have a product design and review training with FDOT hosted here at the TPA, and that's going to be on August 19th. So that's going to get more into details on product design process. It's going to be geared towards our multimodal scoping checklist and then the electronic review committee. So if those are things that you are participating in or want to start getting involved in more of those reviews, that's going to be a training geared towards that. Again, that's on August 19th. And then we're also hosting an e-bike and micromobility safety workshop, and it's going to be on September 10th here at the TPA. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On the e-bike and micromobility, I know that this had come up in a couple meetings ago. Is this in response to that? This is, thank you so much. We really appreciate you all working together to host that, because I know that several members had brought that up. Thank you, Andrew. Do any committee members have any comments on the report? All right, seeing none, we're moving on to action items. We have item 2A. It's a motion of recommendation to adopt the fiscal year 2027-2031 list of priority projects. At this time, I'd like to invite Andrew, the Deputy Director of Programs, to present this item.
Okay, thank you again. Here we are with another round of the Transportation Improvement Program. So last month, we adopted the 26 to 30 Transportation Improvement Program. This is now our priorities going forth for the next tip. So in this list of priority products, it's the priorities that we have for federal and state funds over the next 5 years. And it really focuses a lot on the TPA priorities within this document. And so this is going to cover 27 through 2031. And I always point this out is that new 5th year, which is the outer year of the Transportation Improvement Program. That's typically where most of the funding is available and a lot of the new phases come in. So when you're looking through this document, what's new of this format in your backup is that outer year column now shows the full request of what phases we anticipate we could move into the TIP this coming tip. And so this is the timeline that I show for each presentation where we have the Transportation Improvement Program. So we're here in July looking at this list of priority products. It was really developed. We have a new LRTP, so we're still bringing those into the list of priority projects and how we're going to sort that out. But it really starts with product development, which happens last year. And then with those products are vetted with FDOT, there's field reviews. Are they products that can move forward? Do they have support? If they do, they move to the list of priority projects to try to get them into the work program and the Transportation Improvement Program. That's then submitted to DOT. DOT then drafts their draft tentative work program, and that is seen by the governing board for feedback. The reason being on this one is that the state legislature meets earlier, depending on the year. It's every other year. So last draft tentative work program for the last tip that we're now operating under was in December of 2025. This one's an earlier cycle, so it's going to be seen in October. So our timeframes don't align for all the committees to see it, but when we do get it out, it's pretty much a rush for FDOT to get it all pieced together. We send it out to the committees, but it will be seen at the governing board in October. They take that feedback and then draft their final work program, which then serves as the basis of our TIP. So once again, just wanted to highlight the programming production schedule, how these products move forward, right? So a lot of different phases moving forward, depending on the project. Some can move more quickly than others, depending on the complexity of the phases and also the costs of those phases. So I just wanted to reemphasize the pipeline of products that sort of come through. And today, we're just talking about those TPA priority projects with major products, local initiatives, transportation alternatives. And then we have a table for Sun Trail as well, our shared use network of trails. That's a state-wide application process. These are the ones we're focused on in the tables. And then the TIP as a whole has various other sections, but today is just focused on those priorities. What's a little new, at least reformatted this year, is we get a lot of questions about how much money is anticipated. So what are we really looking at to an expected program in the coming years? These are anticipated funding amounts, but we wanted to put that in there to sort of have a better understanding of where it might head. The first is the money we have really for major projects and local initiatives. So those major state roadways and then off the state system for our other larger scale projects. It's around $40 million that's anticipated in those outer years. That's 23.8 million or so from the federal funds we receive, formula funds that we have to spend in urbanized areas on federal aid eligible roadways. And then we have around 16.5 in state highway system funds. That's a much larger pot of money than that, but it goes towards a lot of priorities of the state. And we anticipate around that amount every year. It does fluctuate. And then on the transportation alternative side, there's $5.1 million total to spend. That's going to be in the new third year. So that's going to be fiscal year 29. And that comes from, again, our urban area funds. And then also the state gets federal funds to spend on transportation alternatives. They typically give that to the MPOs to spend towards their pot. So that's why it's the 5.1. Wanted to mention again, these are anticipated funding amounts. We're actually in the discussions as a nation towards a new transportation spending bill, because this one is going to be done in 2026. So these are all outer year funds. We'll see how that plays out in the new infrastructure bills that come out starting next year, right? So this last infrastructure bill for the IIJA actually increased that transportation alternatives amount, and that's why it's at 5.1 now. So we'll see how that plays out, but these are all sort of keeping the trend line of what is anticipated if everything stayed the same. So going to go through the major products and then the local initiatives and transportation alternatives. Just going to show highlights for anything that's new or advancing as requests. So these are from the LRTP, all types of projects, really trying to carry out the vision, safety, reliability, complete streets, transit, technology, resiliency. The eligibility here is if it's on the state roadway, it can use federal and state funds. If it's off the state roadway, it can use those federal funds. So the federal aid eligible network is anything urban minor collector or higher. So we can use those federal funds on that, but typically not the majority of the state funds that we have to prioritize. It's a 5-year timeline. So a lot of these things are coming out in the new 5th year where the bulk of funds are available. I'm going to go through the main requests and you'll see the total amounts. All these are ones showing the request column of fiscal year 31, pending funding eligibility, and if a phase can move more quickly, we try to work with AFTA to get those funded more quickly. Something like a PD&E or design phase may be before 31, but we typically just show it for 31 in our request, thinking that that's probably where it's going to end up. There's multiple products here. We have construction on US 1, North Lake Boulevard to Parker Bridge. That's a lane of roadway reconstruction, lane repurposing. We have design for the US 1 from Dixie to Gregory, and US 27 connector, which is that study that's going on by AFDOT out in the Glades community. Finishing up the PD&E amount for that in an outer year. There's a lot of Palm Beach County and Boca Raton signal projects. They've had a lot of submittals by both of them to harden the signals, have new technology, flashing yellow arrows, a bunch of other upgrades. These projects are going to be administered by FDOT. Design is actually about to be underway for many of these, but FDOT has reorganized these, so you'll see them looking a little different in how they're structured in the list of priority projects and the upcoming work program and TIP. Shown for these requests is what we can anticipate may be able to be funded right away in construction amounts for those. Forest Hill Boulevard and Congress Avenue, 2 safety projects for lighting and other improvements, construction in outer years for those. And I think I have one more I want to show you before that. And then other 3 projects on that list that are showing for requests in 2031, Indiantown Road at Center Boulevard, intersection reconstruction, the design for that. The PD&E will be underway here pretty soon. This is one of those ones with the design cost being lower and PD&E about to be underway. So this one may most likely be funded in earlier than 31, but putting the requests out there. More Palm Beach County and Boca Raton signals for design, which are other products in outer years. And then a regional priority of Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach MPOs through TAC is a US 27 freight and rail corridor study from Miami up to Martin County. So that is assessing the feasibility for rail along US 27 and then connecting to other rail lines around the Glades area and then continuing up to Martin County. That request there shows a study for $1 million from the TPA, and then there's also funds from Broward and Miami-Dade MPOs. And then just a product highlight, just to show sort of how this works through the process. Here's the US 1 from North Lake Boulevard to Parker Bridge design for the typical, putting in wider pathways and bike lanes on this roadway. So a lot of the ones that you are familiar with, when you submit to us and we work through this, we have design plans, cost estimates, all that to get ready for it to go into the work program before it gets into more detailed design. Local initiatives, just 2 ones that have are remaining here to be finished up for funding. Bark Road's requesting $1.2 million for additional funds. It's also a change in the limits. So it's now Lake Ida to Boynton Beach city limits. That's for fiscal year 27. And then there's flashing arrows for Palm Beach County, $3 million. That's a $4 million total request. Many of you are already familiar with flashing yellow arrows. I took this from the county's website about how they work and their safety benefits. It's going to go from ability to go from just a protected to a permissive, and so a lot for both of those within the signal. Transportation alternatives. This is that annual application process that we have where design starts in year 1 and then construction's in year 3. So this is going to be fiscal year 2029 requests. We cap these at $1.5 million per project, around $5.1 million in federal funds that are available towards this. It can be used off or on the federal aid eligible system. So even though they're federal funds, they can be used off that federal aid system and they go towards non-motorized transportation. So complete streets, bicycle, pedestrian, infrastructure, traffic calming, etc. We have 4 requests for that, $5.5 million in total. And this request is in fiscal year 29. Northeast 2nd Avenue shared use paths, North Military Trail shared use paths, Northeast 4th Ave intersection reconstruction in Delray, and then Kirk Road by the county for shared use paths. Another highlight for this one, that Northeast 4th Ave one in Delray Beach. This one, before this was submitted, there was a walking audit completed with partners, commissioners, and other staff members. Had some findings on the walk audit, and it was submitted with more detailed information for cost estimates and design for those based off of the audits and other assessment. Okay, so that concludes the highlights of the list of priority projects. Again, what you're seeing in that outer year column for fiscal year 31 is what we can anticipate to get sort of prioritized. It does go a little higher than what that anticipation amount is. We always try to oversubscribe for funding. And if more money is available, there's other outer year needs you'll see in that outer year long range estimate column. And if we can put more funds towards it, we'll work with FDOT towards that. So the request is the list of priority projects as a whole, but we wanted to give you a better understanding of what may line up for this next coming year. So this is being seen by you all and the governing board this month for adoption. It gets submitted to FDOT. They then will work through the creation of their draft tentative work program and integrate these priorities with their priorities. That's again presented to the governing board for comments. Then they're going to develop the final work program and it'll be adopted in next June, 2026. Okay. I can take any questions.
Thank you, Andrew. Staff, are there any public comments on this agenda item?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so it's bringing it back to committee for comments. I have two. Brian, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to request more information about this feasibility study for the US 27 freight and rail.
Okay.
Simply because it's got a large potential to affect the Glades positively and or negatively. But I also find the timing extraordinarily suspicious that it's 6 weeks after the county approves an 8,600 acre mining facility there. And it happens to be within a couple of miles of the US 27 corridor. So I'm just trying to find out more about that because that would have been really nice to know that that was in contemplation. But any information that you can provide, I would appreciate it.
I can send you some more information. Some of the things that sparked on this was there's always been some discussion at the county level with the intermodal logistics, out in the Glades community. Some of this was also sparked by Miami-Dade and trash needs with the landfill, which is ongoing discussions. But what we're hoping to see in this study is obviously more details on benefits and also the negative externalities, right? So going through those communities, one of the benefits we're hoping to see is if it can provide any freight relief on our eastern corridors to alleviate some of that freight and then bring it on to other corridors so that we can have more passenger rail service along the east side. So those are all things that we're looking to get studied in this from our priorities, but just heard about the mining facility for the first time. So we'll discuss more together.
Yeah, it's supposed to be for a regional reservoir, but it was done by private interests and it came forward. It's got its own unique history that's not necessarily transportation, but the only purpose for that mine other than that would be for aggregate for FDOT or other public road production. So that's the only reason the mining material could leave that mine. But I also have concern because that rail line's been there for darn near 100 years and the FEC couldn't figure out how to make it work in all that time. So I understand there's a larger regional need, but I have grave concerns about environmental justice issues going through those communities. And if it's truly just to take the freight off the eastern, that you're disadvantaging the Glades communities.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Brian. Any more comments? Or are you done? Okay, thank you. Before we move on to Alex, staff, Ruth, I just want to make sure you noted that Jonathan, Kim, and Jessica have joined.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was a while ago. I just wanted to make sure. All right, Alex.
I was just curious on our, what is for some of us our favorite project, the passenger rail service on the FEC. I did notice that there's a change in the project number, which is highly uncommon. I wasn't sure what precipitated the change in the number of the project. I know some months ago there was a change in the name of the project and the description also was modified, but I just noticed that the project number is different. I'm not sure if that has to do with funding sources. I'm curious about it. I do not know if you have any information about it or if FDOT has anything as to why that is. Also, I see that there's reference here to an FDOT feasibility study. I believe Brian had mentioned something a few months ago about some studies. I don't know when we expect for that study to be completed and presented to this committee. Yep,
I'll let Brian respond to that. The first part, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the FM number, it switched over. There was separate FM numbers in the work programs. So Broward had one for their part and we had one for our part. And it was consolidated under one FM number, and then it was procured that way. So that's why, even though it's, still funding that we're trying to get and put on studies here, they're doing studies throughout the region, not just Palm Beach. So that's why it moved to that FM number.
Brian Rusher, Deputy Director of Multimodal. So that study is moving forward. We have a city West Palm Beach meeting along with all of the other communities along the FEC next week. So that's with engineering. We reached out to the city of West Palm Beach's administrator. They appointed Kevin Volbrecht and then Jessica Keller as alternate to kind of help steer that study through. So I'd recommend reaching out and talking with the engineering team. I'm happy to have you in that meeting as well. But that study is moving forward. The next phase of the study will be looking at identifying and vetting where the station areas have been kind of planned and updated over time. Once that is all set, the team can look at what track work needs to be done and develop cost estimates. So we're still shooting for an October completion to help feed some of that information into ongoing planning efforts at the county.
Right. Do any other committee members have comments? Okay.
Good morning. The replacement of the 40 transit shelters for Palm Tran and then the construction of the 30 additional, do we have those locations yet? I know it's under design right now, but.
You had the answer. I'm gonna call Brian back up to see if he knows.
I'll start, but I'd also like to defer to Palm Tran in case they have any commentary. The Palm Tran does have a contract now for transit shelter and stop improvements that's focused on anything from replacing benches all the way up to new full service transit shelters. They're planning to do about 50 replacements a year starting in 2026. We have a list of locations that, if it's okay with Palm Tran, we can share, and they're throughout Palm Beach County. So that's the current game plan in using those funds.
Yeah, if I could get a list of those, it'd be beneficial.
Palm
Yeah,
Tran.
that's fine. We can share that list with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
I'd like that list as well. Boca
We
Raton.
said it with the
We're gonna send
committee,
that-
yeah.
Well, you didn't make it clear that you would send it to everybody, but thank you.
Please only send those to me.
Okay. Any other member comments? I don't see any cards. Are there any other cards up there in the virtual world? Okay, seeing none. So this is an action item, so I do need a motion for this item. Can I have a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion by Chris, second by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay,
Right.
I want to clarify because of the inclusion of State Road 7 and the city's opposition to that project. So I want to state it for the record.
Thank you for that clarification, Alex. Jessica, I'm assuming the same? Okay, thank you. Motion carries with 2 dissents. Thank you very much. Moving on. We have item 2B, motion to recommend adoption of the 2026 strategic plan. So at this time, I'd like to invite Brian Rusher, the Director of Multimodal, to present this item. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian Rusher, Deputy Director of Multimodal, here to present the fiscal year 25 report card and 26 draft plan. So I just want to start by going over a few things. On your desk, each of you should have a copy of our annual report to take home and read over the long weekend. I hope that you all enjoy the literature. Our public involvement team works very hard to make sure that we produce very high quality content, ensuring that we're keeping up to date on projects comes from the planning side, and we work together to produce this report. And so I want to give kudos to the public involvement team, especially for producing such a great visually compelling document, and thank them for their work on that. What you will find in the annual report is a lot of status updates on the ongoing work of the TPA. And I'm trying to click forward. There we go. Too far. I have a little lag on my clicker today, so we're gonna be dancing around a little bit. Okay, so for the fiscal year 25 strategic plan report card, I've been given the liberty not to jump into each one of these and just pick my favorite and go forward from there. So for fiscal year 25, we hit all of our metrics. This year, we are very proud to have, strong partnerships with lots of you in the county that help us meet these goals. Everything from engaging the public all the way down to how we administer ourselves and the trainings that we provide. We really strive to ensure that we are keeping our momentum going as a planning agency and trying to ensure that we are doing everything we can to distribute information, to collaborate with you all, and to implement projects. So the only caveat to the accomplishments this year is that we set a very high target for social media engagement. Last year, we had over 350,000 users reached. So we felt it appropriate to try to keep that as the goal. So we haven't quite hit that metric yet. If all of you would like to take out your phones and engage with the past 12 months of content, maybe we can get there collectively as a committee, but we didn't quite get there this year for users reached. And we have some changes for the fiscal year 26 strategic plan because of that. So I will now jump into what those strategic plan goals are. And again, taking the liberty to pick my favorites. So I won't keep you all here for the full morning. We have a strong emphasis on engaging the public. So goal number one, and I'll just maybe pause, but before I dive into this, I want to just make a couple of quick points. Unlike many strategic plans that you maybe have in your cities, in your county, our strategic plan is derived from our Unified Planning Work Program. It's that UPWP is the acronym that we call it, is a 2-year plan. So when we produce a strategic plan for the TPA, we try to do it in a 1-year time frame. We try to guide the most important work of the agency, and it is consistent with the work of the Unified Planning Program. So it's not to say that we aren't doing other things outside of the strategic plan, but these are the things that we're really going to make sure that we're hitting the mark on, and that we're going to set some measurable targets for it into the future. So first and foremost, engaging the public. We feel that some of the information that is out there about safety materials and whatnot is really starting to need a refresh. So there's a couple of goals under engaging the public where we want to get people more attuned with the information that we're putting out there. So first and foremost, we are going to create online tutorial videos on how to utilize TPA resources. So we have a community profiles dashboard where if you go to, let's say, Village of Wellington, you get all of the census data that you would want to have in the most up-to-date format. We also have a tip transportation tracker tool, which the program team has worked very hard on implementing. And so we'll have videos which are, enough information for the general public to use, and enough for like maybe new staff who are coming on board to each of your communities to get a handle on what the TPA does and what tools are available to them. For planning the system, it's always hard to pick what my favorite one is for goal number 2, because this is where most of the multimodal team work lives. If I had to say what we're probably most excited about is the continuation of the transit-oriented communities work that we have worked on over the past year. So last year we provided a framework for Palm Beach area jurisdictions and the TPA's policy on transit-oriented communities. That is published online. If it's not, it will be by the end of this meeting on palmbeachtpa.org/mobility planning resources. So that is how the TPA is going to work towards implementing the 561 network. Right of personal privilege, we're also going to work on a pedestrian bicycle micromobility safety study to build off of the rail access study that we completed last year, and a safe routes to school action plan as well. So a lot of really great work coming from goal 2. For goal number 3, prioritization of funding. This has to do more with our standardized work program that we have here at the TPA with respect to the list of priority projects, which you just saw, the tip, and other elements. So what we try to do there is we try to make sure that projects are ready to go and moving through the system. So we're really proud that goal 3A is to establish an annual call for projects. So you all know that last year we adopted the long-range transportation plan. That identified in the plan a new process where we will go about vetting and continually engaging with communities through a dashboard and through TPA staff to ensure that projects that are in the long-range plan eventually make it into the list of priority projects. So that's what our annual call for projects is going to do. So we're really excited about the implementation of that. That will be implemented this year. in October, around the same timeframe that we do the TA funding workshop. For the implementation projects, goal number 4, we are really excited about, obviously assisting municipalities with grant submittals and for incorporating safety improvements into projects that are resurfacing. But we felt that one standout element that we need to update and to align with the Department of Transportation is the congestion management plan. For those of you who are not aware, DOT District 4 has an updated transportation systems management and operations plan that is underway. So we feel it is the right time to update the congestion management process to align with that plan, and also just update some of the data, the dashboards, and other information to ensure that we're all going in the same direction with respect to congestion management. And then for the last 2 goals, obviously we have collaborate with partners. That's one of our stronger emphasis areas here, is that we collaboratively plan, prioritize, and fund the transportation system. So for goal 5B, this is a really exciting opportunity that we're going to be hosting in January. So for those of you who are unaware, a Think Bike workshop is where we will have Dutch cycling design professionals come to the States, and we will be hosting a workshop for planners and engineers, like a technical audience, to learn about Dutch design, everything from network all the way down to comfort of a specific facility, intersections, and whatnot. So I look forward to that. We obviously hosted the Safe Street Summit last year, so this builds off of the work that was done hosting that summit, the speakers that we had, and we look forward to hosting that in January, along with a few other surprises along the way that has to do with other professionals that we couldn't lock in for that date, but that we'll have in the latter part of this year. And then lastly, making sure that we have streamlined standard operating procedures for the agency in terms of our administration of financial procedures. That goes into goal 6B. That's a fairly straightforward process that we wanted to continue to work towards as we improve our financial systems. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions, but I am seeking a motion to recommend approval of the fiscal year 26 strategic plan.
Thank you so much, Brian. Committee members, do we have any comments? I see Jessica has a card up.
I am just the most interested in goal 2 with the micromobility study. If you could tell us a little bit more what you're thinking.
Certainly.
On the scope.
So the TPA last updated its pedestrian and bicycle safety study 14 years ago. That identified, I believe it was either top 10 or top 20 corridors for pedestrian and bicycle needs based off of activity and off of crashes, and came up with projects for those specific corridors. So we will be doing a similar effort to update that study, looking at activity data that we have, looking at crash data that we have, and coming up with specific projects for corridors that the TPA has jurisdiction over, particularly on the federal aid eligible network, to look at that. So it would be helpful to have, if there are, I know that there are ongoing efforts for mobility planning and for, pedestrian bicycle master planning, helpful to have your specific needs. If there are projects within jurisdictions, we'll always reach out to make sure that we are on the same page about improvements along corridors.
Thank you. Do any other committee members have comments on this item? All right, none here. Staff, are there any comments out there in virtual world or public comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to compliment staff. I think the strategic plan is incredible. You all do amazing work in your public outreach initiatives, and you're a lean staff, and you get out there and you do a lot. So it's a very high quality document, and the annual report that was provided to us is also a very, very nice piece. So kudos to you guys on that. I do have a question on the Safe Street Summit. So even though it's being struck on the collaboration, it is forward. It was just on here last year because you were hosting, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So we try to only do 3 items per strategic plan goal. So that is one thing. And then for us, it comes up every 3 years, roughly. So Broward County is going to be the host next year.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is an action item, so I do need a motion for adoption. Can I have a motion, please?
So move.
All right, motion by Alex. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so next item is item 3A, just for point of clarification. I think some of the agenda pointed 2A, but it's 3A. And this is the Turnpike to I-95, a direct connect project, PD&E. At this time, I would like to invite the Florida Turnpike project team to present this item.
Good morning. My name is Bill Howell. I'm with Lochner, and I'm the consultant project manager for this PD&E study for the Turnpike. And I'm here to provide you an update for how this direct connection interchange is coming along. If I do this right. Oh, okay. Okay, so this outline, we'll talk about the purpose and need, project alternatives, the preferred alternative, and the schedule. We're currently in the PD&E phase, and we'll talk about the future phases later in the presentation. Okay. So in terms of purpose and need, first, the project is located, along both I-95 and Turnpike, north and south, about 2 miles north and south of Bridge Road. And in terms of purpose and need, it is to improve the system linkage, enhance emergency response and evacuation, and enhance safety. So in terms of improving system linkage, as you can see on the dots, the blue dots are the I-95 interchanges in Martin County, and the green dots are Florida's Turnpike interchanges. There's only really one Turnpike interchange at Martin Highway on the Turnpike. So what that does, it forces travelers who want to switch between the two facilities to get off of one and use the local roads to get onto the other, and vice versa. So that happens a lot at Martin Highway and using the High Meadows. And then it also occurs, and you're most interested in probably, is the Indiantown Road connection. So what we're proposing is this direct connection interchange, which provides a system to six system connection needed to improve the linkage between the two. And right now we're proposing it in the vicinity of Bridge Road, which is approximately halfway between Martin Highway and Indiantown Road. We looked at 2 different alternatives and took those to an alternatives public meeting back in July of 2024. We had both virtual and in-person meetings. We received 22 virtual comments, or I'm sorry, we had 22 virtual attendees and 16 in-person attendees at those meetings, and we received 31 comments. The top alternative 1 provides the 4 direct connections between the Turnpike and I-95. It did add some new ramps over the southbound I-95 on-ramps, and there were some other I-95 ramp modifications. Alternative 2 avoided any modifications to the I-95 ramps while still providing all the 4 direct connections between the 2 facilities. The alternative 1 was a fair bit more expensive than alternative 2. And that's why it was selected as the preferred alternative. Okay, so again, this better illustrates the movements between the 2 facilities that are proposed. There are no direct connection. This is just simply between I-95 and Turnpike. There are no connections of this interchange to Bridge Road. So I just want to make that clear. And there's no modifications to the I-95 ramps with this preferred alternative. And this is the right-of-way needed to implement those ramps for this preferred alternative 2. Okay, at the request of Martin County's Fire and Rescue Service, they did ask that we provide some emergency access vehicle or emergency vehicle access only connections from Bridge Road to the Turnpike. So that allows them to greatly improve their response times to accidents that occur on the Turnpike, since the nearest interchanges are, again, 7 or 8 miles away on either direction. So we are providing those. They'll have a gated access that they have buttons or however it works to get to the Turnpike. Let's try again. There we go. So right now we're doing all the documentation and so forth, getting ready for the public hearing, which will be later this year, probably in the October timeframe. But we will have the draft project documentation available for public review 21 days prior to the public hearing. Okay, so this was a request from the TAC about the current status of the funding. It was the PD phase is funded, obviously, and is ongoing. The design phase is currently unfunded, but it's been proposed for the outer year of the work program, the Turnpike's work program, in fiscal year 31. So that's currently in the process. And right-of-way phases and construction phases are unfunded at this moment. Okay, it seems like I missed a couple slides. Okay, yeah. These are some of the meaty ones that you wanted to hear about. Make sure. Okay, so now skip those. All right, we'll get you there in a minute. There we go. Okay. All right. This new direct connection interchange will, by the year 2050, be able to handle 26,400 vehicles per day, or that's what's predicted. Specifically at the West Indiantown Road interchange, by having this direct connection interchange available, it will reduce the crossover traffic by 15,600 AADT at the Indiantown Road interchange, which represents a 36% decrease at the Turnpike interchange at Indiantown Road and a 16% decrease at the I-95 interchange at Indiantown Road. Similarly, up in Martin Highway, it will reduce 3,000 crossover trips AADT, which represents an 8% decrease at the Turnpike and Martin Highway interchange. Okay, and so this was another slide specifically requested. Turnpike Planning provided this analysis. So for a 21-year period, they predicted the crashes would reduce from at the I-95 on the left at West Indiantown ramps from 613 to 548, which is about a 10.6% reduction in crashes. For the Turnpike and West Indiantown Road ramps, again, for this 21-year cumulative period, the crashes would reduce from 252 to 172, which represents about a 31.7% reduction in crashes. And so that takes us back to close to the end. The Jaslyn, and she just recently changed her last name to Georges, but is the Turnpike project manager for this project, and that's her contact information there. And the website up at the top. And with that, if you have any questions, I also have Andrew's here to help me with some of the technical questions. So any questions?
Thank you very much. Yes, I think we do have some comments. Mo?
Thank you. Question about the projected reductions in crossovers at Indian Town, sorry. It seems like it's really low. So you showed, I think, 36% reduction from Turnpike to I-95 and 16%.
Mo, can you just speak up? I can't hear you.
So, yeah, my question is about the projected reduction in crossover traffic at Indian Town as a result of this project. And it seems like that those numbers were really low. I think what I remember seeing is 36% reduction on the Turnpike to I-95 and 16% from I-95 to Turnpike. I expected that to be much higher than these numbers. So the question is, why is it not? Because thinking now that most of the traffic that crosses over is not local traffic mostly, right? It's traffic that is on the long haul, going between counties or more. So when you put a crossover freeway to freeway, you would imagine that almost everybody will be crossing over there.
Right. Andrew Velasquez with the Turnpike.
How are you doing? Yeah, it's Andrew Velasquez. I am with AECOM, in-house consultant for the Florida's Turnpike. I manage the planning and traffic forecasting groups for this project. So this is a percent reduction of the total traffic using I-95. So that 16% reflects a reduction of all the traffic using it. So a lot of people get off at I-95 in Indian Town for local purposes. This is the reduction of traffic, the total amount. So that's what that reflects. And it's basically a proportion of the 26,400. So some of it comes from I-95, some of it comes from the Florida's Turnpike. Yep.
Thank you. That makes perfect sense. And actually, we not long ago, if DOT installed a signal, I believe, at
Yes.
I-95 at Turnpike entrance on Indian Town Road, and they rerouted some of the ramps, I believe, from I-95 to the same signal, created a lot of havoc and a lot of congestion. So that signal was meant to facilitate the crossover from between the two freeways. So this project certainly will help alleviate that congestion issue on Indian Town Road. However, it seems like we'll never see that project done before at least 10 years from now, right?
That'll take a while.
As I saw in the schedule that you have. Thank you.
Do any other committee members have comments on this information item? Are there any public comments, staff?
No, Madam Chair.
Any other comments out there? No other hands raised. Okay, thank you very much for the informative presentation. We look forward seeing this project come into fruition and hopefully funded sometime in the future. Thank you for the update. All right, so just as a reminder, item 3B was moved to September. So we will be hearing from DOT then. So the next item is administrative items. So items 4A through C are informational only. There's no staff presentation unless specifically requested by any committee members. Seeing none, we have the items before you. So at this time, our next TAC meeting is scheduled for September 3rd. And at this time, our committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you.